When you retire, you may get a chance to go to football heaven. This is football heaven.
Hello and welcome to the Mission Podcast. I'm your host, Jameer Howerton. And as always, we have a treat for you today as we conclude our 4-part series of reliving the extraordinary moments of this year's knock through the lens of Hall of Famers ushering this new class of 2022 into the Pro Football Hall of Fame family. And joining us today, man, this is a special one here. 5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time Super Bowl champion, New England Patriots legend, and the pride of Eloquippa, PA, Mr. Ty Law is joining us right here for the Mission. Welcome, sir.
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, Ty, I tell you, thank you so much. And I understand you got a chance to watch this year's show. First and foremost, before we dive in and talk about how you knocked on the door of Richard Seymour and welcomed him into the family, what was the show like for you to watch?
I mean, it was awesome. I think just how it all came together. It was so organic. You know what I mean? I mean, we just had a good time, like the crew, the film guys, the host, and I mean, everything was more than what I could have expected. You know, just the professionalism, but we just had a good time. You know what I mean? It was no stress, no pressure. We just wanted to make everything right, come across to the viewers, awesome, and they did a great job. If it was any editing, because it was so natural, I don't know if they edit anything. We were just out there having a good time, man, and when you capture that moment, like that in its true essence, in its true form, it's special. And I think that resonates with the viewers.
When you received the notice that they asked you to do the knock and usher in Richard Seymour, first and foremost, how did you feel?
I was honored. I was floored. I'm running around so much, so busy, with the kids and business and all that. I was like, just tell me a date and I'll make sure I do that, because that's my brother, you know what I mean? And, now I'm not there alone, because I really feel that, so many of us Patriots that were a part of, the last 20 years that is not getting the opportunity. So I was waiting, I know I was the first, and I know I won't be the last, but it's been far too long for somebody else to join me from, our great teams. And, I was just happy to be able to do that for Richard, because we have the same, I put in with my financial advisor. We had the same financial advisors. And I mean, we've been very close. Our families are very close. So it was overall, it was great for me to be able to do for him. So I think I got just as much out of being able to welcome him in like he got, into the Hall of Fame. I felt that same, because I know what it's like to wait.
All right, Ty, it's kind of like reliving the moment of an interception that you took back to the crib for 6 points. Let's relive that play of you getting the briefing in the car from the production team and leading up and going to knock on the door. Take us blow by blow.
I mean, well, we were just having a regular conversation, you know what I mean? And then you're asking about, my journey, the differences of how it has been in the past, from David Baker knocking on the door, but they got a glimpse of it when David was traveling around to everyone's home. But, it's somewhat of a changing of the guards, you know what I mean? As far as, how the leadership is ran, and David Baker, I mean, that's what we know, his big presence, his big fist knocking on your door. But, I can only imagine, because I was imagining the moment if it wasn't David Baker. That's what I'd known. That's what I was hoping for. But I can only imagine if my uncle, Tony Dorsett, showed up out of nowhere and said I was in the Hall of Fame unexpectedly, you know what I mean? And I'm joining the club, because it was, I always looked at him as that, example. That I looked at him as I want to be like him. I want to be next, from Aliquippa, you know what I mean? So that would have been special. So I can't say I would take away what happened with me, but moving forward, I can only imagine, how other guys will feel by it. I think it's just more intimate, you know what I mean? And it's special just to get in, don't get me wrong. So I'm not taking anything away from my experience, because I mean, that was the best knock that I ever heard in my life when David Baker knocked on my door, you know what I mean? It wasn't somebody trying to get some money, wasn't trying to get nobody to pay no bills. It was David Baker saying that I'm going to go, and I'm now in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But I would have been just as emotional, if not more, if my uncle would have did the same thing. That's because right. I looked up to him, for so much. So for me, Richard Seymour being my, big little brother, and tried to take it under the wing when he first came in. And like I said, we had to, introduce him to my, financial advisors and lawyers, and he went that right. So we've been close, and it's amazing. And I got to put something else out there right now before we go there. I might be the first one to go back to back. I'm gonna put that out there.
Okay.
Because, guess what? Ain't nobody else allowed to do Darrelle Revis but me. That's Aliquippa.
Fair enough.
That's my little
Fair
brother.
enough.
That's all.
You know what?
I might be the first one to go 2 years in a row.
So it was funny because I watched the knock, and I kid you not, when Big C opened up the door, Seymour looked at you like he was certified surprised. He was like, "Yo, what are you doing here?" It was like,
Yeah.
"Yo, bro, what's going on?" What? And tell us that exchange and what you said to him.
I mean, it was so funny because leading up to it, we had to try to coordinate this to keep everything quiet. So, like I said, I'm so tight with the family. So Tanya knew I had to keep her calm, because when I had to tell her, I said, go in the other room. When I first, had to get in touch, with her to say what's going on, because we had to coordinate it through his wife. You never know where Richard's going to be at. So you need that help. And for those guys to be able to hold it for 2 weeks, before that, and holding that huge secret, it was just like, it's like you're sneaking out the house to go somewhere and come back. You know what I mean? So it was just an amazing experience. It was, it's hard to put into words, man, because we were so used to being at one place, and the pandemic changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
But that moment, when I first talked to her, she acted like she was about to scream. I said, Tanya, shut your, go into another room. This is what happened. This is what you have to do. And she was elated, and we just brought it all together, man. There had to be the middleman between, her and the Hall of Fame, and then I got those two together. Y'all just tell me where to be, because I wouldn't miss it for the world. And that ride up there, I started getting butterflies like I was somebody about to knock on my door. I'm doing the knocking, you know what I mean? And that's how good it felt to be able to do that, for Richard. Because I know what the Hall of Fame means. It's so hard to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
What was that energy like when you told him, like, bruh, you and the fam now? What was it like to see him and his family interact?
It was unbelievable. Of course, like I said, Tanya knew, but now that she can get that monkey off her back and say, and it was a lot of laughs, you know what I mean? Because he couldn't believe that she was she didn't tell her, you know what I mean?
Right. She was in on this thing. Yeah.
Yeah, she was in on this, man. So, my whole thing was, he better not come up in there with no tighty whities on. He better not come up in there. Because I said, camera crew, we all gonna turn around. We don't want to, that's the kind of we don't want to see. So, but overall, man, just his emotion, his shock. I think they captured it well, but to be there in the house, with his wife, his kids, and knowing that monkey is off his back, because he wanted it. He deserved it. Right. And he waited like I have. And I think when you are one of those guys that waited for a couple years, it's a deeper appreciation. Not saying that the first ballot guys don't appreciate it, because when you think about the whole scope of getting in the Hall of Fame, no one asks you, did you go first, second, third, how long it take you? Once you get that gold jacket, you got it. You see how it was with Drew. Right. 40 years. It's like he was first back. That's how excited it was. That's how exclusive this club is. So for Richard, to have to wait 3 times to get on his 4th, time, it's like, it's amazing. He needed that. He deserved that. You know what I mean? And for me to be able to, welcome him in, it was special for the both of us.
How much fun did you have? Because I noticed how you had a little fun with his University Georgia Bulldogs national championship, Michigan.
Over my Wolverines.
Go blue had to let them know what was going on.
Yeah. So if that's the only way I can beat you is stumping on your in your front yard, that's what I'm gonna do. Because they stumped on us down here at the field in Miami. So I said I had to get him back a little bit, but and I had to pay him some money. Champ Bailey, too, my brother, my classmate, I had to cash app him some money, because I'm taking the bets. I'm riding with my boys. That's right. That's right. They put it on me, man. They put it on me. But for Richard, he really does deserve it. Him and his family. He put so much. He's one of the, best players that ever played the game. Now, we all know that, now he got that honor, truly deserved, and he can kind of, close the book on that part of it because you've been in the room for that long.
Right.
So get there, Jameer, it means something, bro. No matter when you get there, it means something. And you can see that all over him. It's just like everything just left it. He got to absorb absorb everything, all the hard work. You start thinking a lot. When you get to that point and you're in the shock, but then you just start going back down memory lane within your own mind. This is what it took to get here. People acknowledging it. Right. People seeing that, you know what I mean? No matter what, even though if you felt it yourself, but for other people to be inducted into a fraternity like this, other people acknowledge, that you're worthy, and it feels good.
Well, speaking of taking a trip down memory lane, Ty, you watch Richard come in as a rookie with the Patriots, and you and I had candid conversations about, yes, all praises, salute Tom Brady. However, it was the defense that started those dynasties. What made Richard so special and unique at his position?
Because he was able to do so much, and what he was asked to do, you can't always measure, someone and their impact on the team or impact on the game by stats alone. And he was one of those guys, because I really believe, like another teammate that we're not talking about, like a Willie McGinnis, if you just say, peel your ears back and go, oh, he's 100+ sack guy. Richard Seymour, he's up there. If you sit there and say, let him go, but he had to do so much. He had to take on a lot of double teams, dribble teams. He was never shooting the gap and just say, go get the quarterback. He had to sit there and do that and read and things like that. It was never just go get the guy. So he was able to accumulate, great stats, but at the same time, doing a lot more than people in his position because his responsibility was that much more. Not only go get in the backfield, get quarterback, but okay, let me plug this two gap. He's taking on double teams, triple teams. I mean, that's just the way it is. I'll give you an example. Like we know that, Aaron Donald is going. He's probably going to be talked about as the greatest defensive player, not just defensive tackle, the greatest defensive player all the time. You look at a guy like Aaron Donald, but really, he's just peeling his head back and, and go. Richard, he had to go, but at the same time, hey, I got to see what's going on. I got to clog this hole, clog that hole. He's just not shooting the gap trying to go. So when you have to do those kind of things with our defense, Willie McGinnis, those type of things, not just rushing the passer off the edge and you got to cover and everything else, you're doing a lot more. So it won't always show up in the statistics, but it showed up in the wins. And I think for Richard to get this acknowledgement, it should open up a lot of doors for other people that you really can't judge a great player solely on stats alone. A lot of guys go and they say, this is what he did stat-wise, but were they winning? Richard was actually, and I think if anybody can tell you, I can tell you as a player, but as a coach, go talk to one of the greatest coach of all time, Coach Belichick. Ask him. He'll tell you. Richard was asked to do a lot more than people in his position.
Wow. Is there a game that you could point to where you went back to the huddle and you were, or you were on the sideline and you were like, yo, Richard, you are cooking today, man. You are on fire. And to add to that, where you went back to Richard and was like, thank you, because what you're doing is allowing me to just ball out here. You know what?
I can't say a specific game because Richard, he was so consistent at doing what he did. And you got to look at our teams. We so focused on doing our job. We can't be sitting there worrying about what the hell you're doing up there. Hey, do your job, because if the ball is sitting there, coming out after so long, right, I'm going to come with a different conversation. Hey, what the hell's going on up here? I'm too busy covering my guy. So I just got to be honest with you. I'm following the top dog everywhere all day. But you do acknowledge those guys, because when you say, all right, hey, ball ain't come out, I guess they got to him. You hear the crowds. You don't know if it was Willie, it was Brewski. That was the special thing about our team. But when when it boils down to it, you see Richard Seymour. He's the one in the trenches. He's the one that's always taking on the double teams, the triple teams, and freeing up someone else. You know what I mean? He was that dominant that you couldn't just put one guy on him. Right. So, I was like, he was just a consistent force. And then it got to a point where you knew what you're going to get out of him. If you got anything less, that's when it was been a problem. You know what I mean? And we just kind of approached our teams from a totally different perspective. You know, we're gonna pat you on the ass and pat you on the back after the game. When during the game, hey, you did what you're supposed to do. All right, let's get back. And that's what made us great.
Right. Absolutely. And knowing the man off the field, tell us about that, you know, away from the game. What kind of guy is Richard?
I mean, Richard is so laid back, you know, so cool. I mean, he's a funny guy. He loves to laugh, and, you know, as an entrepreneur, you know what I mean? For him to be such a big guy, and you know how they say big guys is like teddy bears or something like that.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
He made, that's basically what Richard is. I mean, he's not, you know, over aggressive or be such a physical stature and all that stuff. He's one of the most laid back, down to earth guys that you ever want to hang out with. And then if you got to go down to the rabbit hole and you got to fight your way out, that's one of the guys that you want with you. You know what I mean?
He's clean too, man.
Yeah,
he's clean. He's sharp. The fedoras.
Don't all the big boys try to be like they DBs or something? They always trying to get clean, you know.
They're trying to be like the little. If I play football, I'll be a DB. I'll be a DB too. So they always trying to dress like little dudes.
Always trying to dress like little dudes, man. But you know what? Richard pulled it off well. He has some swag. Because guess what? If he wore some, I'm gonna tell you, I'm clowning. Because we did a lot of clowning. So Richard never got clowned on to be a big guy trying to look like a little guy. He always was dressed to impress, you know, looking clean, but I would have gave it to him. I'm trying to tell you, we did not hold our tongue when it was travel day, because back then we had to dress up. You know what I mean?
Right. You gotta come clean.
You come with some garbage, we're gonna let you know about it.
And Ty, when you look at this year's class, because a couple of these guys you actually played with, Tony Baselli, rest in peace to Mr. Cliff Branch, one of the older players, Leroy Butler, Art McNally, who was the contributor, Mr. Sam Mills, rest in peace, Richard Seymour, who we're talking about, Coach Dick Vermeil, and Bryant Young. Excuse me.
By the way, Tony Baselli, you know, class of 1995. That's our sixth one. So we got Baselli, you know, in the first round, Warren Sapp, myself, Derek Brooks. Then we got Curtis Martin, Terrell Davis. So shout out to class of 1995, our draft class.
Whoa, time out. Let's rewind. Wait a minute. The class of 1995 NFL draft. Recite that again for me, Ty. Let's break that back.
Baselli, second pick overall. He just got in this year. Warren Sapp, 12th overall. Myself, 23rd overall. Then Derek Brooks, I think Derek Brooks was 27, I think, 27, 28. Then you got Curtis Martin in third round, Terrell Davis in the sixth round. So our class of 1995, we got 6 right now.
All Hall of Famers.
Yep. So I feel good about that. Yeah. So I was definitely, you know, me and Tony sitting there together, you know, wanting to get in. So now, you know, we look at it as like, hey, that's a nice class, nice completion for our draft class. You know what I mean?
Oh man, Ty, that's amazing, man. Wow. I mean, just to think back to that moment, you know, the NFL draft, one of the biggest job, how can I say, interviews of a professional athlete's life, the combine that we're just dealing with now. You guys went through all that, and to say now, looking back at your career, all you guys are Hall of Famers. Right.
I mean, it's amazing because that, and you got to think about everyone that got drafted in those 7 rounds. You know, it's a lot. It's hundreds of guys just in there. So it kind of puts a lot of stuff in perspective, because you got, of course, we got 3 in the first round. You know what I mean? 4 in the first round, which is rare in itself. But then you talk about, we got us a Hall of Famer in the 3rd and the 6th round as well. You know what I mean? So the draft is one of those things that you can't really judge just because of where you got drafted at, because no one is even putting that much evaluation when you talk about later in the first round and stuff like where I did. You know, it was like, okay, it's more of a value pick. Everything is about those top 10. You know what I mean? It's been like that for a long time. So to have, you know, knowing that it was over 200, 300 guys get drafted in that class, and 6 of us, you made it to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But then you got to talk about every other class is the same way. That's how exclusive this thing is. You know what I mean? You talking about how many of it's 300 and how many now?
It's going to be 363.
363 out of 100 years of football. You know, man, that's pretty special. It's a very exclusive club. So everyone in there has a story and, you know, is deserving. There's a lot of guys out there that, you know, haven't made it for whatever reason that are deserving. So, you know, once you get in and get that monkey off your back, you know what I mean? You don't have to worry about that anymore. You just hopefully, you know, have a voice for the next guy. You know what I mean? I can just speak for some of my teammates, like a Rodney Harrison. It's like, why isn't Rodney Harrison in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? And I can sit there and have a debate on that all day. You know what I mean? But it is what it is, you know, and hopefully, you know, while Richard now being the next guy up, you know, from our great Patriots teams, defensive teams, you know, but, you know, Tom Brady was there, but Tom Brady wasn't Tom Brady. Right. So for the guys to start to get that recognition, you know, it's pretty awesome.
Wow. And lastly, before I let you go, man, just overall, what did this honor mean to you and the gratitude that you have, you know, to usher in one of your very own brothers into this family?
At the end of the day, when it comes to the Hall of Fame, you know, besides getting in myself and having that moment, the next moment, you know, because I've been up, you know, came back, you know, now as a Hall of Famer coming back, this was one of the most special moments being part of the fraternity to be able to do that for Richard. You know what I mean? It's not just for him and his family, our relationship personally, but the Patriot fans. That was very important, you know, to me to be able to do that because, you know, they still ride with us, even when we went to other teams. You know, I went to New York, Kansas City, Denver. Richard, he went to, you know, the Raiders.
Yes.
Guess what? Our Patriots fans deserve that. They deserve that, you know, recognition. So to be able to do that was awesome, you know, for those guys, because they still rode with us no matter where we went. You know what I mean? And I know Richard appreciates them as well as I do.
Everybody, Ty Law, let's give it up for him, man. Thank you so much for joining us, man. We appreciate you just reliving those moments with us. And man, we can't wait to have you here in Canton, Ohio this summer.
All right, appreciate it, man. I see you there. And and hopefully my other Bach can be out there. We'll be ready to roll.
Please, I need it.
I got you, bro. It's gonna be bigger and better. Promise.
Ty Law.
All right, thanks, guys. All right, Jameer, take it easy, bro.
Take it easy, fam.
Man.
Ty Law, you are the best. Thank you so much for joining us right here on The Mission. Don't forget, you can shop for your exclusive class of 2022 gear and visit profootballhof.com. Also, while you're there, check out the Hall of Fame's YouTube page for the extended knocks. Unfortunately, with Kurt Warner and Charles Woodson, we weren't able to get on their schedules, but you can see Charles Woodson usher in Leroy Butler and Kurt Warner usher in Dick Vermeil. Great stories. We hope you receive them as well. And also too, President Jim Porter had the opportunity of reaching out to each deceased member's family and notifying them and letting them know that Mr. Cliff Branch and Sam Mills, that's right, they are a part of the class of 2022 of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And lastly, congratulations to the entire class of 2022. We can't wait to honor you right here in Canton, Ohio for Enshrinement Week powered by Johnson Controls. Well, I'm Jameer Howardson. Thank you once again for joining us here on The Mission. We have so many cool stories coming to you, so stay tuned. You never know who's going to be on The Mission.